And folks, we are live. Welcome to Danswers Live. Ask Me Anything. Sometimes the video and audio takes a second, so if there's any clicks in the beginning, don't worry, that'll all sort out. How is everybody? I am Dan Donahue, stand-up comedian, uh, content creator, which is a term that I love. Not to get off the rails too early, but we're waiting for questions to come, so I'm gonna go on this tangent for a second. Content creator is such a good term because it's so rude and it's so, I think, deliberately dismissive. And that's a good thing, by the way. That's what you do. You're not a humorist, okay? Because the stuff that you're saying is not necessarily making anyone laugh. You are not a uh, thinker or philosopher. You are a content creator. You are a maker of content, the quality of which is completely irrelevant. That's the vibe, baby. That is the online vibe. That is the for better or worse situation that we have created to our for ourselves. And that's where we are. I want to start this, but we already got some questions. I want to start this by saying very quickly, and this is probably being talked about ad nauseum, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents. Right? The actor who played Pee Wee Herman passed away. Pee Wee Herman was a big part of my childhood. I don't always get like I usually don't get personally upset. Like I get upset, I get sad in the way that when anyone that you don't know has something bad happen to them, you get sad about. For celebrity deaths, generally, you know, I don't have too personal of a connection. There's maybe like three out there that I would be sad for a day, but with Pee Wee, I did feel kind of bad, and again, I don't want to bring up the worst part of this person's life, but we really need to, as a society, and I hope this is being discussed by more people than just me. That man needs his name cleared. Okay? That man needs his name cleared. He had a scandal where, and we are on YouTube Live, he did a little bit of self-love in an adult movie theater. That was the crime which he committed. And in the modern landscape of things, where we find that celebrities are doing everything from going on to islands with nefarious purposes and doing tax evasion and being abusive to staff members, all he did was something that I was almost certain was completely legal. Okay? I think that what the actor who played Pee Wee Herman was accused of is something that I don't even just think like is or should be legal. I think if you go into a movie theater that is geared towards adults, if you know what I'm saying, and there's a guy in there that's not doing what he was doing, arrest that guy. Arrest the other guy. Because what are you doing in that movie theater if you are not performing a little bit of self love? Okay? I mean, Pee Wee did nothing but bring joy to people, and he had to let off a little bit of steam. And he did it in the place that I think is pretty much that's like making a phone call in a phone booth. All right? So sorry to go off on that little tangent. We got too many questions piling up, but RIP we. And let's get started. What was your childhood like? Any trauma, favorite memories? That's a really funny question. You must be whoever asked this question must be really, really fun to talk to. I feel like you just sit somebody down and be like, "Hey, has anything horrible ever happened to you? How did you feel about 9/11? How was your day?" It's a very funny series of questions. What was your childhood like? Any traumas? Favorite memory? Yes, every day I was taken into a hut and beaten with sticks. I loved SpongeBob. No, let me answer this question. I think the word trauma is probably a little bit overused these days. I don't think that I experienced anything that I currently carry in my body. I was bullied as a kid, and not to an extent that ever got too physical. So I don't really feel too bad for myself in that regard. But mildly, like I've talked about this before, but like a lot of loneliness. My favorite memory, though, I don't get that question a lot. I really don't. I don't get the question of what was my favorite childhood memory, and that is a great question. Let me let me think. What was my favorite? Oh, I remember. It was Cub Scouts. I was in Cub Scouts, which is like the Boy Scouts for cowards. They basically have a Boy Scouts for those who do not aspire to greatness, and it's called the Cub Scouts, and that's what I was in, and it was really really interesting. The guy who ran it, just to tell a little side story. So the Cub Scouts, my dad got me into it because I think my dad was afraid that I was living kind of like a too much of an isolated indoor life. So he was like, "Let's get you into the Cub Scouts." Unfortunately for him, the Cub Scouts didn't do a lot of stuff outside. We basically got together and I guess like compared Swiss Army knives, and that's pretty much all you do in the Cub Scouts. But the guy who ran it was this ex army guy, and I was that age where you don't know what an appropriate question is yet, but you find out. Let me try to explain that. I was at like 10, 11, 12. That's the age where you'll keep asking inappropriate questions, but adults will start to tell you, "Hey man, don't ask that." And this, I'm not proud of this, and this is not a cool thing, and you shouldn't do this, but this is just what happened. When I was a kid in the Cub Scouts, the guy who ran it was an ex-Marine, and when I found out he was an ex-Marine, it was because he told us. He was like, I'm a veteran, I'm an ex-Marine. My hand shot up, and I think a few people in that room went, "Oh no. Oh no. Oh please no." But my hand shot up, and he said, "Yes, Dan." And I said, "You ever kill anyone?" 11-year-old me asked literally the worst question you can ask a veteran. And my dad, the look on his face was a look of both embarrassment and failure that only a father can have that look on his face in the way that he did. It was like I can't believe you did that, and I can't believe I raised you like that. And the guy was very gracious, because he said, when you're in the military, you have to do a lot of things that you don't feel good about, but are necessary. And that means that guy has 400. The way he answered that question, that guy was putting up numbers. Okay? The cold, steely look in his eye really gave the impression that he was putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers over there in whatever country he was serving in. That wasn't my favorite childhood memory, though. I would say my favorite childhood memory was with the Cub Scouts. I was basically like there was this sleepaway thing, which is the only time we camped, and there was a game of tag that we played, and that game of tag, I just crushed it. I know it's a really stupid, simple memory, but just the feeling of doing well and like excelling at a physical thing, because at the time that was kind of rare for me. I was tagging everybody. I was taunting people. It really made me realize all that time I spent thinking I was like a humble, good kid. It turns out I just didn't excel at sports, because the second I started to, I was immediately chirping people. I was, and this is the case for a lot of people. There's a phrase that I am definitely misquoting here. but it's blessed are the weak who think they are good because they have no teeth. And I think about that all the time because back then I thought I was like good and humble and whatever, but it turns out I just kind of had no teeth. I kind of had no aptitude. I kind of had no ability. And because of that, I I didn't really have the opportunity to taunt and be an asshole, but the second I did, oh boy, did I use that to the utmost. I was chirping people. I was tagging them, being like, "Yeah, what?" Like I had dunked. You know what I mean? Like I was an NBA player on his fourth season who just windmilled on a rookie. Just like, yeah, yeah. And it's like, even back then, that was wild, wild behavior. That's a great question. I like that question a lot. Here's another question. Someone in the chat. Okay, how can you get a boyfriend that's smelly to take a shower? Awesome. 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 This is a question a lot of people have. I'm going to be honest. The other night, I was over a woman's house and I showed up, and it's summer in Los Angeles. This is a person this wasn't the craziest request. It's a person I've seen before, but it definitely wasn't the most normal request. But I made it, and I was very happy that I did. I show up to her place. It was later in the night, and I go, listen, it's Los Angeles. It's summertime. Can I use your shower? Before anything happens, before anything happens, can I please use your shower? And there's a big stigma against using other people's showers. And I think we need to get rid of that in this country, okay? I think that a friend's shower should be open for business no matter what. I remember one time, and this made me so mad. I don't even know why it made me so mad, but it made me so mad. Oh, this is so it's good that I'm remembering this because I'm getting angry once again. Um, and just for the people who have questions in the queue, I will get to them. It's just I take the questions one at a time. Um, and right now we're on the question: how can I get my boyfriend that's smelly to take a shower? I had I guess quote unquote friend, and I was over his house, and we were about to go and get dinner with another group of friends, right? And I turned to him and I go, "Hey, could I hop in your shower?" Okay. Now, this is a very divisive topic. Okay. This is an incredibly divisive topic because I found certain people thought it was okay for me to ask that question. Certain people were like, of course, use your friend's shower. That's what a shower is there for. And then certain people were like, that is so wrong. Certain people were like, that's invasive. The shower is a private thing. And to those people, I say, you were homeschooled and you're only children and you don't get it. Okay? I'm making a stand right now. The showers of your friends, and I'll say even the shower of an acquaintance. I'm not getting naked in front of you. Okay? I'm not going cheeks out in front of you, brother. Okay? I'm in the sanctity of a bathroom where horrors are committed. That's what a bathroom is for. We don't like talking about that. But a bathroom is a place where horrors are committed, and we do it in the privacy of that room. And I can't take a little shower. I can't take a little rinse. I can't scrub up and smell better. You're going to make me stink. So I asked my buddy, "Hey, can I hop in your shower?" He's like, "You want to use my shower?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to use your shower." Do I need to explain myself? Do I need to explain that my armpits, if they were being tested by the EPA, would be shut down? If the EPA came to his house at that moment and said, "Dan, we need to test your armpits," they would put a Geiger counter on my armpits and say, "I'm sorry, your armpits are closed until further notice." And the next time I wanted to lift my hands above my head, I would have to say, "I'm sorry, I can't. The government said I can't." Okay? Thank you, whoever is liking the video now. Put the thumbs up if you're agreeing or disagreeing. But when you have somebody and they need to shower more. It's a tough subject. It's a hard subject to broach, and you really need to ask yourself, how much do I know this person? I've said this a couple times on the podcast. My buddy Killian McCaskey, who I will have on one of these live streams, when we were in Boston, Boston's a very humid place, right? He would take me to the side if I smelled bad, and he would say stinky. He wouldn't say anything else. I knew what he meant. I knew what he meant. He would take me to the side and he would sniff me and he would say stinky. That's a friend, by the way. That's a good friend. And also, here's the thing, because you're asking, how can you get your boyfriend to shower more? This is why girlfriends are so great. And you seem like a really an empathetic person, because you don't want your boyfriend to get self-conscious, right? That's what you're thinking. But here's the thing that is happening. You are putting your own framework over guy logic, and it's not. I think guys are much more you're able to kind of take a guy to the side and be like, you smell bad, and I don't think he's going to take it as personally as you think he is. I think he is going to thank you. I really do. One time I was I was over a girl's place, and as I was leaving, I smelled myself, and I smelled so bad. I don't know if it was like the pheromones or what, but I smelled so bad. And I was so bad, I called her as I'm in the car, and I was like, "Hey, did I stink?" And there was a pause at the other end of the phone, and she goes, "Well, you had like a smell to you, but it wasn't that bad." Which, if a woman you're not seeing, you haven't been seeing for a while, says that to you, you smell like uh like the ocean with sulfur in it. You smell like an ocean of sulfur if a woman says that to you. So I had to I had to calibrate my actual stink based off of her response, which I knew would be kind of tempered. Just know, whoever asked, how do I get my boyfriend to shower more? I think you can be direct with a boyfriend about his showering. And I think that your boyfriend will probably appreciate that. I certainly would. But maybe from what you've heard so far in this podcast, maybe I'm just a freak, and maybe I'm just a strange guy. Okay. But I would say you can be a little bit more direct with your boyfriend, because your boyfriend wants you to be happy. And if he doesn't, that's just a bad guy. Okay? Your boyfriend doesn't. I'm constantly worried, because I think that my own hygiene standards may be low. I don't think that's necessarily true, but that's my worry. My worry is that my hygiene standards are low. So I'm always really self-conscious, and if I could get any feedback, positive or negative, about it that I knew was real, I would really appreciate it personally. Because you never listen, we've all walked around smelling a little bad. We've all walked around with food in our teeth. We've all walked around and we forgot to put pants on that morning. Okay? Everybody's done it. You think you haven't? Hmm? Mr. Perfect? Guess what? You have. Okay? Everyone's gotten out of bed, walked out of their apartment, got into work, sat down in their chair, realized their chair felt different. They looked down and they realized that they didn't put on pants or underwear, and they've been winning the pooing all the way to work. That's happened to everyone. Okay? You don't need to be self conscious about that. That's just a little slice of life. All right? Everyone's done that. I was once in a conversation, and this woman's kind of holding court. It was in a comedy setting, so it's a bunch of crazy people talking to each other, which is great. And this woman goes, because like everybody's cheated. I'm like, listen, I'm all for being kumbaya and accepting our faults, but let's not go that far. Let's not go that far. But anyway, yeah, we've all been stinky. I will say that everyone's been stinky, and you can tell your boyfriend he's stinky. Probably. Do you sometimes read literature? That's a good question. I have in the past. It's getting harder and harder as time goes on, and I'm actually trying to recultivate my ability to read. I've been reading every night before I go to bed, only 2 or 3 pages, usually nonfiction. Usually, I don't even comprehend what is being said. I am reading a book about the, opioid epidemic, and I'm just trying to I'm holding my brain hostage and just trying to force it to remember one fact. 'Cause it's brutal, dude. Your brain, because of what we've done to our brains with short form content, and I do blame short form content. I think that's why I'm trying to go towards long form content more, because when I look at the stuff that I consume, and I think what here has elicited thoughts and emotions and feelings that have been helpful, it's been things like podcasts, it's been things like longer YouTube videos, right? Like, there's a lot of creators on here that I really enjoy that make me think, that make me better in conversation. But for I think it's being on TikTok and watching short videos, dude, it's brutal on my frontal cortex. I I can't I can't even register anything that's not a video of a baby raccoon doing something sweet. Okay? That's how I've programmed my brain in the last 3, 4 years, is to only be able to process videos of small raccoons doing small, nice things, and it is not good. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to build back that part of my brain that used to be able to retain information, which is now completely filled with images of small raccoons playing with tennis balls and then rolling around on the tennis ball, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. But the answer to answer your question is yes. I have been trying to read more. Okay, I have. I really have. I swear I have, and you should too. Okay, this is my call to action for this podcast. Read a page before you go to bed. Get off your phone. Okay, and I know what you're saying when you're on your phone before you go to bed. You're saying, "Oh, well, just tonight. You know, I had a hard day. Just tonight. Oh, just tonight? You mean every night this week because that's how often you've been on your phone before bed? Huh? This is a call out. I'm calling you out, listener. You're getting called out. Get off your phone before bed. Read one page of a book. Okay? And I might get comments here like I have before. Oh, this is a whoa, whoa, whoa. You have a point of privilege here. No, 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 no. Anyone can do that. Anyone can do it. Okay? Some suggestions for bettering your life are insane. Some suggestion for bettering your life is like, you should use a water filter on your private yacht. That's not this. Okay? That's not this. You put the phone down before bed. You should not be ingesting a level of blue light that could illuminate an entire Ford Taurus before your head hits the pillow. Read a page, read 2 pages. You got me? That went off in a direction. And it's good. It's good for things to go off in a direction. Oh my god, what a question. Oh, this is I sometimes when I answer questions, I get excited and sometimes get really excited. This is a question I'm really excited for. Any dating advice for a person with a stutter? This person asked, any dating advice for a person with a stutter? Boy, do I have dating advice for a person with a stutter. Just for context, I had I had and still have to a degree a speech impediment. It's called a lateral lisp. Words like ch come out as right. They come out the sides of my palate. There's been a few famous people with this speech impediment. Namely, and this is a really funny one because I think he maybe controlled it a little bit more when he was younger, but now listening to him on podcasts and stuff, I realized that maybe just in old age and stuff, it started to slip. But Ric Flair, the WWE wrestler Ric Flair, has the same speech impediment that I struggle with. So it's very funny. It's good company. I'm glad that I'm in it. Yes, I absolutely have dating advice for a person who stutters. Number one, I don't even know if this is going to turn to advice, but this is just the truth when you have a speech impediment. When I started dating, my speech impediment was much more notable than it is now because of performing stand-up comedy and listening to myself over and over and over again. I've slowly started to correct the speech impediment. It does still come out from time to time. When I started dating, I had a much more significant speech impediment, and I would always be in my head, and I would always put my insecurities onto that other person. Always. I would always, as soon as I made like a CH sound and I caught it, the rest of the date, I was in my head. I was in my head going, oh, this person thinks I'm a loser. Oh, this person thinks I'm an idiot. Oh, this person probably thinks I'm not good in bed. Oh, this person probably thinks that I can't read. Right? Just all these totally asinine things would just come into my head because I was so sure that this person across from me was judging me. And I think as you just get older and you like kind of gain more empathy and you realize what's actually kind of going on in people's heads, you realize they don't care. If they do, they're stupid. Okay? If you're on this date and you have a stutter and you're stuttering, I'm gonna be honest with you, and this isn't everybody, and this honestly might get me in hot water. To quite a few people, that's like a cute bonus thing. Like I know it doesn't feel that way for you, but I think that anything that kind of makes you unique, if you're accepting it and you're integrating it into your own personality, I think a lot of people really like it. Like I've had women with like my speech impediment be like, I actually, and I was really resistant to it at first. I was like, shut up, you're just saying that. But they're like, no, 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 like it's a unique characteristic about you that like I appreciate. And aside from that, because that might not be going on, what's really happening in that date is not this person sitting across from you judging every single word you stutter over. What's really happening is they are doing the same thing you're doing in their own head, just about different stuff, right? Everybody has these things that they judge about themselves that when they go into a date, they can get triggered from it. Obviously, you have one that's a little bit easier to be triggered because it like happens out in the open, but everybody's sitting there going like, oh, don't fart. Why did you bring up your dog again? You keep bringing up your dog. Why are you telling this person that you kiss your dog every day? Why did you just tell this person if me and my dog were a crime committing duo, I would be Bonnie and my dog would be Clyde? Everybody is constantly in their head with those specific things. Specifically those things. So I would say number one piece of advice with dating, if you have a stutter, I think that the nerves are only going to make it worse. And you should really get in the headspace and really get in the mindset. No matter how confident you think someone else is, they're not that confident. They're not. And if they are, that's great. But if they're that confident, they're not going to be judging you because they're going to be solid in themselves. Do you get what I'm saying? So I would say advice for dating with a stutter is just like accept it's going to happen on the date. That's not a bad thing. That's just part of you and your personality. Everyone is bringing stuff to the table that they are self conscious about, and it's not as big a deal to them as it is to you almost every single time. So that's what I would say. Dating advice for someone with a stutter. I hope that was helpful. I hope you like that. If anyone else has questions, throw them in the chat. We got a few more. Um, any advice for telling someone that you're interested in dating them, but they live in another state? Don't. Don't. Well, I'm kidding, obviously, but I do have follow-up questions. Would you see this person even semi-regularly the way things stand right now? The way things stand right now. Is dating your only option? You could date, you could lock down a long-term relationship with this person, okay, you could. Or you could just send uh salacious pictures to one another every 2 weeks or so. Would that be adequate for you? Right? I say this because a lot of the times our infatuation with people can be greatly uh inflated by the fact that we don't see them all the time, because our imaginations are wonderful, wonderful places where we build people up, right? So you know when we are infatuated with someone who lives far away, who we haven't communicated with a lot of the times we can put this framework of really intense positive light on them. We overlook the fact that they talked about building a squirrel army, right? We overlook that as a cute little quirk. But then when you're in the same state as them, you realize, oh, this is something that Chester talks about a lot. And he has a plan, and he has diagrams, and he's been waking up every morning at 4 a.m. to try to learn how to communicate with squirrels to ill effect. Is this something I could live with? So as far as dating someone who lives in another state, I would say be open to maybe expanding your possible methods of being with this person, right? Because dating in another state, it's possible. People have done it. People have done it wonderfully. But are you strong enough? Are you strong enough to be in Kentucky while that person is in Nashville, and you go on their Instagram story and there's a picture of them, and 2 seats away from them is a really, really hot woman? Can you stand that? Can you go, oh, they're probably just, that woman's probably not even in their group? Or is your mind gonna wander? Are you gonna think they were definitely on the best date ever, and then when the camera came out, she moved 2 seats down to make it look like they're not really together? Is that where your brain's gonna go? Because that's where mine would. That's absolutely where mine would. When you're in another state as someone you're dating, everything is elevated to such a high level and high degree that I mean, you just got to be able to bear it. You got to be able to. Oh yeah, no yeah. So I gotta go. Sorry, Claire's here, and you're like, who's Claire? And he's like, oh, just a friend from work. All right, bye. And you have to just live with that for 5 days. You have to live with that in your soul. Can you take that? Can you take that? Because with technology, the ability to message people at any hour of the day and to see what they're doing at any hour of the day, I think our expectation of how easy it is to maintain a long term or a long distance relationship is way overinflated, because you can have all the apps and gizmos and trinkets and widgets that you want. But at the end of the day, it takes a lot of strength to have to make love on FaceTime that often. Okay? Are you ready to choose camera angles for that event? Are you ready to look at yourself and go, well, this is going on camera? I don't know. I don't know if you are. I really don't. But it's a great question. I've never dated someone long distance. I never really have. I mean, even a vacation, I'm on the road sometimes, and even in that instance, it's tough, and that's like 2 or 3 days. I don't know about a different state. I really don't. If anyone else has any advice they'd like to ask, please throw it in the chat. We've reached the bottom, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this while we had some downtime. Last night I went to the Comedy Store. I luckily got up at Beautiful Potluck. Shout out Alex Hanna for allowing me to go up, and it was really, really fun. And the reason why I think I had a lot of fun is because it was later in the night and the stakes were lower and I was looser, and it really, really taught me an important lesson. If you can treat a high pressure event like it has lower stakes, I'm not saying don't treat it as important, but I'm saying treat it in a way where you can still be loose, you do so much better in those. You do so much better. And it leads to this thing where it's like you ever feel like if you don't get a lot of opportunities, it doesn't matter what your field is. Doesn't matter. If you're a person who doesn't get a lot of opportunities, when you get that opportunity, when you finally get that opportunity, you don't perform to your best. The reason of that is you aren't able to practice regularly the skill, and it is a skill, it's a skill set, it's a really important one to be able to perform under intense pressure, right? I don't have that. I'm slowly gaining it, but I was really, really hard on myself the first time I got up at potluck. Oh, when I first got up, I was shaking. I was fumbling over words. And in the back of my head, I was like, why aren't these people laughing at these jokes that I've told a million times and have worked a million times? And it's because, oh, they can feel that you're sweating right now. They can see that your hand is shaking. They can see that you're slapping yourself in the face after every joke and going stupid, stupid, stupid. They can see all that. They can perceive all of that. So when you have an opportunity like that and you blow it, which happens, we're fed this imagery of the person who gets their one shot and crushes it. And that's great. That's a great story. I love watching that story. I love reading about that story. That story is very inspiring. And let me tell you why that story is so popular. Because it's so rare. You know what happens most of the time when you get your shot, even if you deserve it, even if you have performed well your entire life at the thing that you get a shot at? You blow it. Your one shot, a lot of the time, most of the time, you blow it. We've seen American Idol. We've seen America's Got Talent. You know what they don't even really show you? They'll show you like a few people who failed, but they don't show you the hundreds and hundreds of other people that fail. The reason why they fail is not that they're not talented at their craft. It's not that they're not excellent at what they do. It's because they didn't get the opportunity to practice under pressure. That is an opportunity that is valuable, right? It's what separates a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are mediocre at a craft, but can perform that mediocrity under a level of pressure where they excel at it. There's a lot of actors like that. There's a lot of, I'm sure, in other fields like dancing and stuff. I'm sure there's stuff that there's people like this everywhere. Is what I'm saying. Their talent, and by the way, this is not me discrediting those people. That is a skill. That is a talent. It's something that should be nurtured. It's something that's very important, but it's something that's not talked about a lot outside of sports. Honestly, sports, we understand. There's a term called the yips in golfing, where somebody messes up and then continues to mess up because they're under pressure, right? I say all that to say this. Because we're inundated with the messaging of the hero who gets his one shot and crushes it, we think when we don't do that, we're failures and we should give up. That's not true. What you're doing is when you get that one shot, when you get that one chance at your job, you have to do a presentation. If you're a tap dancer, you get to perform in front of the Loch Ness Monster. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What I'm saying to you is doing the thing that you want to do under pressure is its own skill. It's its own skill. And if you haven't practiced it, if you haven't practiced that skill and you don't do well your first time, that doesn't mean it's over for you. It means that's a new thing you have to practice. You have to put yourself in more high pressure situations. Okay? That's just the whole and half of it. So don't feel bad about yourself. I got up I got up at the store. I've blown that opportunity so many times, and I finally did good. And I was like, oh, because this is what it took. There's some people with steel nerves that just do great their first time. That's great. That's not me. I'm also not 7 feet tall. Okay. I can't walk on a basketball court and just start dunking. That's just not who I am. That's not what most people are. There are always going to be outliers. Don't compare yourself to the outliers. Compare yourselves to the norm. Oh, we got some questions. Looking into the light has a sort of given me a beautiful little weird thing in my eye. I did a long distance relationship before, and she ended up moving in with a new guy 1 week after we broke up. Brother, let me tell you something about those two people. And by the way, I don't know either of them, but I can guarantee you they both have bed bugs now. Okay? That's a Dan Donahue guarantee. You might be sitting there upset that that happened to you, and you should be. That's very upsetting. But just know for sure, both of those people have bed bugs now. They both have bed bugs. They both stub their toes regularly. Every time they trim their nails, they cut down too low and they hit the cuticle. I can guarantee you that, because that's karma. You may be sitting there thinking, "Oh, I missed out. Oh, that was a blown opportunity. Oh, I'm not good enough for that person." Just know that that person, every single time they trim their nails, they do that thing where they don't cut it enough, and then they try ripping off the last little piece of the nail, and it goes down into the nail bed. Just know that happens to that person every single time they trim their nails. This person said, "I know you said in an older video you wanted to be a therapist. Maybe you sort of are, despite your decision not to scholastically pursue it." That's a great thing to say. Let me be very clear with all of you. No, 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 no. Did I make myself clear? No. I am in no way a therapist. If you feel like I am your therapist, get a real therapist, because you need a real therapist. Okay? I don't like this new trend. You know who does this a lot? Comedians. Some comedians will say comedians are the new philosophers. No. There's already a guy for that. Okay? You're not doing any better than that guy. What if I sat here and was like, comedians are the new plumbers? You see how that sounds ridiculous? It's ridiculous. I am in no way a therapist. I will make essentially video essays on opinions that I have. I hope people find those interesting, entertaining, maybe even funny. That is the extent I go. I appreciate what you just said, but I'm going to go ahead and dispel that right away. I am not a therapist. I'm not a philosopher. I'm sometimes not even funny. Sometimes I don't even do my own job. I can't do other people's jobs. Sometimes I don't even do my own job. Okay? Thank you for adding that. I do appreciate it. And I appreciate the people who sent likes during that. If you tap the thumbs up, it means you're going to find your own therapist. What's more important, being present or being comfortable? Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, I wasn't expecting to get hit over the head by the deep shovel. Wow, that came out of left field. The deep shovel came out of left field right there. What's more important? What's more important, being present or being comfortable? What a great question. Let me be roundabout with this answer. If you're comfortable and you're not present, you're not really comfortable. Okay? The key to comfort is presence. Because if you're in a quote unquote comfortable position, or let's say you're having a comfortable day, you're on the couch, you're watching TV, your feet are up, you're in a bathrobe, you got a big bowl of cereal, you're lighting that cereal on fire to kind of get the smell of it, to get a good smell in the room. You know what we all do to relax? We put on our bathrobes, we kick our feet up, we set fire to a bowl of Lucky Charms. That's what we do when we want to be comfy. That's what we do when we want to have a nice day. All right. If you're not really taking in the sensory information of that experience, if you're not really smelling those smoldering Lucky Charms, if you're not hearing the fire alarm go off, if you're not tasting the boot of the fireman who kicked down your door and then in a state of rage that he wasted his time coming over to your house, just kind of roughed you up a little bit. If you're not experiencing all of those sensory inputs, you're not really comfortable, right? Because your mind's fluttering somewhere else. Your mind is thinking, what do I have to do at my job at the racetrack tomorrow? Okay. What do I have to do at my pony job tomorrow? That's what you're thinking about. So that's not real comfort. So I would say comfort requires presence. It's a great question. I do really like that question. How do I keep myself from making an absolute blistering fool of myself in front of a guy I like? Ooh. First of all, let me say congratulations for feeling. Congratulations for feeling emotion, because that's what that's a sign of. If you're making a fool out of yourself in front of a guy you like, if you're tripping over your own two shoelaces, if you're asking him how his dead mother is for the third time, even though you know she's dead, he told you the first and second time. But for some reason, reflexively, you just ask him the worst question because you're nervous, because you're smitten. Congratulations. You're feeling a human emotion. That's rare. That's rare. A lot of people are on several different medications to try to stifle the feeling that you're feeling right now. A lot of people work day jobs that seem to be set up in a manner to completely deter the emotions that you are feeling right now. Being smitten. So congrats. If you're asking me how to stop making such a big fool, I would say go into this guy's past, do a reverse search on his IP address, and really kind of just dig, find some things that he did that are nefarious or less than, what's the word I'm looking for? Less than flattering, and then you'll feel like you have an upper hand. No, I'm kidding. Don't do any of that. I think let yourself be a little bit of a fool. I really mean that. Let yourself be a little bit of you don't need to be Miss Cool all the time. Okay? You can be a little bit I think we have this thing in our head where we think when we approach someone we're interested in, we got to be perfect. We got to have the right cologne on. We got to have a pet parrot on our arm. So when we go up to this person, they think we're more than what we are. They don't think, this is just Dan. No, they think, this is Dan with a parrot. Listen, you don't own a parrot, okay? And until that pet store lifts the ban that they placed on you being in there because you kept looking at the parrots and going, which one of these will get me laid? And you were saying that out loud, and the guy who owns the store got really uncomfortable and kicked you out. Until they lift that ban, you got to just be yourself. So if I say go for it anyway. If you're a little bit nervous around this guy, you're a little bit go for it anyway. Be mushmouth. That's fine. Don't worry. Just go. Be imperfect. Go for it. It doesn't all have to be perfect. All right? We watch too many movies, too many TV shows. We think it's all got to be perfect. It doesn't. It doesn't. Just go for it. Maybe he'll like that. Maybe he doesn't need you to be Scarlett Johansson. Okay? Maybe he's okay with just regular kind of red Johansson. Scarlet is a form of red. I think so. It's a great question. Hey, I'm watching from Europe. Do you think that energy can affect your living like feng shui? Great. I love this topic. The answer is absolutely, and I don't do it at all. I live completely in a state of functionality over decoration, and that's bad. And you shouldn't do. By the way, if you're doing that, be a person. Decorate your space a little bit, a pinch. I get if you're like an extreme minimalist, that's you. Live your life. That's fine. But I think a lot of people who are quote unquote minimalists are just lazy. That's going to get me a lot of flack. But I'm sticking to that. I think a lot of people who think they're minimalists are actually waking up every morning a little bit disappointed with their space, but they go like, "Oh, well, I'm a minimalist." It's the same kind of guy that tries to be Steve Jobs. You know, the guys who try to be the guys who like will wear the same thing every day. I maybe this is just me. I let me sometimes I go broad when really I should go personal. Let me be personal here. When I was in college, I wanted to be like the most successful person of all time. I wanted to be a business guy. I wanted to make a lot of money. Clearly, with my current pursuit of stand-up comedy, that didn't go the way that I wanted it to. But but I was I was very weirdly driven in that way, but in the wrong direction. And I started to wear the same outfit every day because I heard Steve Jobs did that. And I was like, oh, I'll be Steve Jobs. Do you know why Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day? It wasn't because he's a genius. He was a genius for other reasons. He was a genius because of the work he did with Apple. He was a genius because of his ability to sort of see trends before they happen. That's why he's a genius. Do you know why he wore the same outfit every day? Because he was also on top of being a genius, he was a weird little freak. All right. Same with Mark Zuckerberg. You know why Mark Zuckerberg is a genius? Because he's a shrewd, cold businessman. He's incredibly savvy minded. He's incredibly sharp. Okay, I'm not saying what these guys have done in their lives have all been chill and cool, but they are very intelligent, both of those guys. But Mark Zuckerberg doesn't wear the same thing every day because he's a genius. He wears the same thing every day because he's a little freak. Okay, you can be both. A lot of people are both. We as a society have trouble separating those two things out. So we attribute everything a genius does to their genius. When a lot of the things that geniuses do are not because they're geniuses, it's because they're little freaks. All right? So when it comes to decorating your room, when it comes to decorating your style, just do it. Just do it. Okay? Don't be one of these people that, yeah, I have nothing on the wall and I have blah, blah, blah. If you don't have the means, that's totally different and totally fine. But there's a lot of people that don't have a lot of means that still find a way to make their space a little bit more habitable. And I say this looking right now, I'm looking out into my apartment and I am seeing a wasteland, right? I could do a lot better. There's a dictionary over there because I'm so freaking smart. No, I have a dictionary in my room because like I was saying before, I try not to look at my phone before bed. So if I'm reading a book and a word comes up that I don't know, I just look at a physical dictionary. It's really funny because it makes it seem like I have a dictionary out to make people think I'm smart, which is the stupidest guy move of all time, is to be like, yeah, I'm so smart. I read the dictionary. I hate to brag, but I'm so intelligent. I have such a high level of intelligence that I read the dictionary. I see a guitar I haven't touched in a week. There's just a lot of stuff that I could be doing better. And oh man, let me tell you something about a feeling that I just realized as an adult. And it is the corniest feeling. It's a feeling that I think is arising because I'm starting to lose my youth. But I'm happy to lose my youth because this feeling is so good. The feeling of coming home and looking at your apartment and going, this is not a disaster, and I can walk through this apartment. Oh, baby. When you open that door to your apartment and you did a good job, did a good job putting your apartment together, and you look out and you go, I can walk straight to the kitchen and not trip over anything. I can open a cabinet and things don't fall out. By the way, these are the metrics that I use to determine whether or not my apartment is in a good state or not. You have different metrics, and that's fine. We're all different people at the end of the day. But anyway, yeah, I would say don't underestimate the power of just decorating a teeny tiny bit. Again, this isn't. I don't have a great apartment, but it's much better than it was before in terms of looking decent. And that's all you need. That's all you need. You don't need to go on TikTok and look at these, young professionals who work in a finance company where they got all their money because they destroyed the rubber reserve of the South American country. And now they get to live in Manhattan and have like whatever lime juice every morning. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm not saying you should be that guy, but just a little bit of decoration in your apartment goes a long, long way. Great question. Great stuff. Love talking about that sort of thing. Were you always good at public speaking? I wouldn't even say I'm good right now. I wouldn't even say I'm good right now at this moment. I always had a proclivity for it. I'm not going to talk about my quality of public speaking. That's for other people to talk about. Other people should talk about the quality of the stuff that you do. You can think you're good, just don't say it. You should let other people say it. If you think I'm a good public speaker, that's great, and I'm glad that you found the podcast. If you don't think I'm a good public speaker, you have discernment. That's fine. Whatever. But I've always liked it. I've always liked people. I remember I played Pop Warner football, and I gave a speech before a game one time, and it felt really, really good. Oh, I haven't even talked about this on the podcast. Oh, man. Oh, boy. I'm excited to talk about this. So I was part of a Pop Warner football team that it was their first year doing Pop Warner. So no kid on the team had ever played football before for the most part. And we stunk and we lost every game. And me and my friend who passed away, I'll give him the name Michael. He passed away, unfortunately, due to a drug overdose, which is very sad. But also, that's Cape Cod for you. We started the team slogan, "Fueled by Satan." And every time I got a tackle or he got a tackle, we would high five and say, "Fueled by Satan." We were 13 at the time. And that was the coolest thing in the world to us. I think we got it from the Tenacious D, Jack Black and Kyle Gass. They have a group called Tenacious D. I think we got it from them. But every time we got a tackle, we would say, "Fueled by Satan." Just something we did. It was really strange. And one of our coaches really, really hated that and told us to cut it out. But before one of the games, I didn't say "Fueled by Satan." I just gave a speech, basically, like, I probably said something stupid, right? I was probably like, let's freaking be just like the guys in Fight Club that we all look up to at 13. I probably said something really dumb. I probably said something really, really stupid. But yeah, that was my first foray, I think, into public speaking. My mom was also a public speaker. She did it professionally, so I've been around it. It's been something I've kind of been comfortable with for quite a while. A lot of people are afraid of it. A lot of people don't like it, and I get why, right? It's like kind of nerve-wracking. I think it's a good thing that people are afraid of it too, by the way. If everybody wanted to public speak, the world would stink. We would all just be waiting our turns. It's like when I think it's dying off a little bit, but after, like, at the peak of the Joe Rogan podcast success, a lot of people wanted to be stand-up comics, and that was really annoying for somebody who's already doing stand-up comedy. I know that that's hypocritical. It absolutely is hypocritical on my end. It's very hypocritical, but I'm just telling you the feeling that I had, and the feeling was annoyed. I was annoyed that was happening. Because there would be people that would normally just be fans of stand-up comedy, but then they all ended up doing stand-up comedy. So you had these people that like weren't really driven to perform. They just really liked it. But the barrier is like zero. So you can just do stand-up comedy if you want to. And they listened to enough podcasts where they were like, "Oh, this is something I want to do, actually. I'm going to completely like take someone else's dream and make it my own," and that sort of thing. But and maybe I did that too. I don't know. But I like it. I'll tell you that much. I like it and I work hard at it. But yeah, that was just something that happened that was very annoying at a certain point in stand up. So it's very, very good that stand-up is getting less popular, and it's very, very good that not everybody wants to be in public speaking. Did you ever consider joining the military when you were younger? This is a really funny story that I have. Oh, that's such a specific question, and this is a really funny story I have related to that, which I think I don't think this is going to surprise anybody when I tell you it. But when I was a kid, I was a real weirdo. I was really, really weird, and they had these booths sometimes in the cafeteria where a military, like a guy from the military, would sit and like hand out pamphlets and basically be like, you should join the military, here are the benefits you get, you can go to college, and all that stuff. It's true. I'm definitely I'm more nuanced in my thinking now when it comes to specifically like I think for a lot of people the options are limited, and like joining the military, I mean it's very dangerous. I do think a lot of the wars that America has waged do not directly relate to people's safety here at home or the preservation of freedom, right? I'll say that. I don't know. I don't know if that'll rile people up or make them mad, but I think that a lot of the wars and military actions that were committed by the American military in recent years were not for the preservation of freedom, right? We're not, and also, I think every country has a military, right? And I hope someday that's not a necessity, but I do think right now it probably is a necessity to have a military. And so, I definitely, I'm definitely not one of these people that's like completely. I don't think you could. I like feasibly, and maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't think you feasibly could just be like, okay, America doesn't have a military anymore, right? But at the time when I was younger, I was very like I was anti everything, right? So when I was in high school, I they had this booth with this guy who was recruiting kids for the military. This is sort of one of those things that I'm sure that guy was like, I benefited from service, and I think these kids could benefit from service. But the unfortunate thing about that is they almost specifically try to recruit kids who are like on the fringes and are in tough situations. And that always felt kind of strange to me, right? So this guy's, talking to these people. I walk by and I take one of his pamphlets and I rip it in front of him and I keep walking. I was bold back then. I was bold. And he followed me down the hallway. I turned around and he was like, "Do you just rip that pamphlet?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Just say you're not up for the challenge." That's what he said word for word. I remember it very, very clearly. He said, "Just say you're not up for the challenge." And I walked away, but to this day, I still think what he meant by that. But the funny thing is, before then, when I was like 10, 11, 12, I definitely wanted to join the military. So I don't know. I mean, every kid goes through phases, right? Every kid goes through phases. But that was my phase. That was my phase. I was like a real I would wear a, camouflage, one of those, like, a throwback to, like, the Vietnam War. I was, like, trying to be a beatnik who wore camouflage, right? That was a thing I did. I'm not proud of it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not proud of it, but I did do that. I did do that. Um All right, folks. Well, we hit the hour. That was really fun. It flew by. I'm going to keep doing this. Please check in the description for the Patreon and my link tree. I'm doing shows in Orange County and Des Moines. So if you're in either of those places, check out the tickets in my link tree. If you want to support the live stream and get an extra live stream and get a bunch of extra content and stuff, check out the Patreon. That's also in the description. And just subscribe, like this video. Thank you so much for listening. More to come. Thank you very much.